Gielinor, the magical world of RuneScape. It's divided into chunks for easy use. Welcome to Chunkman Dead Die Kill, the series where I conquer the landmass of Gielinor by doing tasks and unlocking chunks. Last episode we unlocked 3 chunks by completing 3 tasks. These tasks were achieving another 25 level ups for a total of 1475, and we completed 2 diaries, being the Mauritania Easy and the first medium diary, which was the one from Lumbridge and Trainer. Our map expanded with the top left part of the Lava Dragon Isle in the wilderness, the ruins and a part of the Black Chinchampa spot also in the wilderness, and lastly the top left part of Mos Le Harmless. Today we will start off the episode by checking if our beer is ready in Port Phasmatis. The reason we were doing some Slayer and some farming was because we were waiting for this fermenting vat to stop fermenting and make ourselves the Greenman's Ale, which we need for the start of Recipe for Disaster. So if we look at the examine text, we have now a vat filled with Greenman's Ale. I brought a beer glass, and I think if we turn this valve, it will go into the barrel. We get a bit of cooking experience, so now we have a barrel full with Greenman's Ale. I think if we use the glass on it... Yep, there we go. 1 Greenman's Ale. So now the only thing we need to do is go and buy a rotten tomato in Varrock, and then go and do the quest. So in the previous quest, where we needed to get the ingredients for the cake for the Duke's birthday, that was actually a test of the cook, because he just wanted to see if we were trustworthy. He wanted to know we were trustworthy because he is now making a big banquet in the same style his ancestor made 100 years ago, and because of the grandeur he is following a cookbook which has some odd ingredients, so he got most of them except for a few, and that's why he is asking us. So one of the things we need is a Dirty Blast, and the Dirty Blast is made while using some ashes on the Fruit Blast we got from the museum after doing the dig site quest. So that's the Dirty Blast, the Eye of Newt, a Rotten Tomato and a Greenman's Ale. So that's all the things he needs, so let's give it to him. And that is the end of the pretty strange quest. We get a quest point and an invitation to the most amazing feast you will ever see. Because this was the start of Recipes for Disaster, we won't be able to complete it for a long while, so the quest is now ongoing. But because we finished this part, the first part, we have that as a task on the spreadsheet, so let's go and complete that part first before we continue here. On our spreadsheet, if we go to quests, we have 10 labeled with the RFD, so Recipe for Disaster starting point, and this first part, Another Cook's Quest, has now been completed, which was our 55th quest for 173 landmass chunks unlocked now. Last chunk we unlocked was this part of the ruins together with the Black Chinchampas part in the wilderness. It doesn't really change much because all the adjacent chunks were already an option to unlock. But let's hope for something non-wilderness this time. Let's pick a chunk. Okay, that's non-wilderness, but that's the edge of the water at Mosla Harmless. Let's try again. Make a chunk. And we get the Sorcerer's Tower together with the Flax Field. There's a quest over here. This is Scorpion Catcher, but I'm not sure if we have all the areas of the scorpions. If we look at our newly unlocked chunk, so let's unlock it. We also have Sherlock here, which gives some steps, some challenges for elite and master clues. And the quest here is indeed Scorpion Catcher, but I just looked and we need a location in here in the Barbarian Outpost. So that's pretty far away. For now, let's continue with the recipe for Disaster Quest. So let's go and see the banquet. We see Osman from Alcared, a mountain dwarf, Pirate Pete from Braindead Island, the two generals from the Goblin Village, Scratch from the Feldip Hills Ogres, the Lumberage Guide, Evil Dave, Ceramic Vase from the White Knights from Faladar, and Awowoge, the leader of the monkeys of Apatol. And we are missing one guest, which seems to be Gypsy Ares. The Duke got brought away by a random event, and also Osman got teleported away. So now we arrive to the festivities, and here we have the Cullinam Romancer immediately firing his magic, seemingly to freeze everyone in place. And here we have the Gypsy Ares coming in. They seem to know each other. Let's talk to Gypsy Ares to know what is going on here. Gypsy Ares has told us all about the events that transpired 100 years ago. The Cullinan Romancer was apparently trying to kill the entire secret council, but he was foiled by magical food by his assistant. His assistant was then offered a job as the head cook in the Lumberage Castle, and the descendants after him would also get his job. So the current cook, who was following the recipe, was actually following the recipe to imprison the Cullinan Romancer, but instead of pushing him into a dimension, he actually summoned him from a dimension. So a very bad thing happened, and immediately after he was summoned, he tried to kill the secret council once more, but Gypsy Ares froze the time, and now we are here inside a time bubble. The time bubble is just in this room. Outside of this room there will be normal time flow, and we will already have rescued everyone in this room and defeated the Cullinan Romancer. To free everyone, we can ask the cook outside on how we did it, because it already transpired in the present time. So let's see, these are all subquests, so every single person you see in this room is a subquest, which is in turn a reward and a task completed on the spreadsheet, which in turn would also give us another chunk. So let's first of all check which parts of these subquests we will now be able to do. I went over all the requirements, and apparently we will be able to do the goblins and Evil Dave. We are very close for Pirate Pete. We have all the requirements necessary. but we do not have a cod, the fish, and we don't have any fishing spots to fish it either. So we're going to start with the goblin generals. We have the most things we need now. We just are short of a few things, but those things we will get on the way there. Let's see the generals here to see how we are meant to be saving them with some magical food. Gypsy Aries mentions that we should probably just go to the goblin village and see if there are some ideas there on what they both like. One of the really nice things here is if we go down this trapdoor, we now have finally access to the bank chest here. This bank chest, so for example we have the bank itself, but we also have the food and the items we can buy. One of the things we need is gnome spice, and this is something we can buy here. So that's one down. Some of the things we still need are some dyes, and actually we don't have to go through the entire dialogue. If we just give the ingredients to Aggie here, we can make a red dye immediately, then the same thing for a blue dye, and then another one for a yellow dye. So that speeds up the making of the dyes by a lot, and now we just need to go to the goblin village. In one of the houses here we can go down, and then we have the goblin cook here, which will help us in making something both generals like. So let's talk to him. Mud Knuckles, the goblin cook, is willing to help us, but first of all he needs to finish his experiments, and he needs a piece of charcoal for that. So let's just give it to him. And the pot starts to shake. We're going to hide. And that was a big explosion. We survived. The entire room is on charcoal black. And there we have Mud Knuckles coming off the wall. Let's talk to him again after what he thinks is a successful experiment. As always, the generals do not agree on anything. One likes orange slices, but the other one doesn't want them to be orange. The one wants maggots, but the other wants only spicy things. And then we have bread, but it cannot be crunchy. So that seem to be the ingredients for what we are going to make. So if we use a bucket of water on bread, we get soggy bread, so not crunchy anymore. We can make slices of the orange, and if we use a dye on it, we have dyed oranges. And then we have the fishing bait, which are maggots, and if we use some spice on it, they are now spicy maggots. And that should be enough to make what the generals like. We got a slop of compromise from Mud Knuckles. Let's just hope this works, as this really looks like something nobody would eat. Let's use our newly acquired slop of compromise on the generals. And that is the quest completed. We have freed the goblin generals. We get 1 quest point, 1000 cooking experience, 1000 crafting experience, 1000 farming experience, and we get the next tier of the Culinaromancer's chest. So that is the generals freed, only 7 others to go. But that was a quest completed, so let's go back to our spreadsheet to complete it over there. Just a few minutes after we completed the first part of Recipe for Disaster, this is the second part, freeing the Goblin Generals, which is completed for our 56th quest and 174 landmass chunks unlocked now. And then back to our map. We unlocked the Sorcerer's Tower last chunk, so now we have an option to go to the Ranging Guild and the fishing contest part, Temple of Ikov. So that would actually be a good one. Let's see what we are actually going to get. Pick a chunk. Okay, first some water at the bottom of the map. Let's try again. Pick a chunk. Ooh. We are connecting our two unlocked chunks. We could already get to Camelot Castle with a teleport, and now we have Seer's Village. I think one of the most important things here in Seer's Village would be the agility course. For the rest, we have the starting point here for Elemental Workshop number 1, and I do think we would have enough as well to do Elemental Workshop part 2 immediately after. We also here have the Seer's Village pub, and I think over here we can buy some food for cheap. I'm not sure if they were stews or something like that. So just the quests alone make this chunk really worth it. So a very good chunk to unlock. Our next part of the Recipe for Disaster subquests is going to be Evil Dave. Let's inspect him to see what he needs as magical food. Evil Dave here lives in Edgeville, in the basement of his mother's house, and it's him that we will need to talk to see what he actually likes as food, because in the outside world he is still alive and well after being in this precarious position. So first of all, let's go and get stews, because he likes stews, but they need to be seasoned in a particular way, and we will need a lot of stews. Now, if we look at our new chunk that we have, let's already unlock it. So here you see Elemental Workshop 1. If we go to this pub, let's see if there are stews being sold here. Otherwise we will have to make the stews ourselves from scratch. The pub is just within the chunk. Let's talk to the bartender. We have homemade stews. So that's actually really good. Could I have a stew? And it's only 20 coins each. With our stews in our backpack and our cats following us, here we are in the house of Doris in Edgeville. Let's open the trapdoor to get to the basement to get to Evil Dave. Let's talk to him and see what kind of stew he likes. Evil Dave mentions he had a perfect evil stew because he likes it and he is evil, so the stew must be evil as well. He says the stew also tasted a bit like the stews his mother makes, but it was in the perfect amount of spices. So let's talk to Doris. Apparently the Hellrats down in the basement have stolen all of the spices. So let's start the hunt for the spices. We will use our cat to hunt the Hellrats. If he kills one of them, we will get some spices. So in this case this is 1 red spice, and this will be a bit of a trial and error, trying one color, giving it to Evil Dave, seeing if the amount of the 1 spice is correct. If it is, then we go to the next part until we get the full stew completed. A few of the hell rats later, we have a hellcat. So apparently you are what you eat. Our cat has caught some of the hell rats for a lot of brown spice, so let's try 1 brown spice. And here you can see that if we would eat this, we have a possibility of boosting or getting a negative boost for 5 of these skills. So these will be very useful later on to boost for things we do not have the level for. So let's use the spicy stew on Dave, and what does he say? We have the right amount of spice. So it is 1 brown spice for the stew. On to the next one, let's maybe try the red one. Also the amount of 1 spice is right. So we need 1 red, 1 brown. Next up is yellow spice. Let's see what Dave thinks of 1 part. We've got the amount of 1 spice right again. So very lucky. We have 1 yellow spice, 1 red spice and 1 brown spice. Now the only spice that is left is the orange one. A lot of the other spices and we only got 1 orange. Let's see. Is this okay? Ah, of course it isn't. Okay, lucky on the other ones, unlucky on the orange ones. Let's see if we can get some more. Ooh, immediately a 4 dose. So it's either 2 or 3 doses we need. So let's try 2, I guess. Nope, this is wrong. So 3 orange, 1 red, 1 yellow, and 1 brown. And if we use this on Evil Dave, is this correct? Yes. Perfect evil stew. So before he drinks it all, let's go back to Lumbridge and free him with that stew. 1 spicy stew for Evil Dave. And that is the end of the Evil Dave subquest. We get 1 quest point, 7000 cooking experience, the ability to make these spicy stews. So like I mentioned, we will be able to boost our skills up to +5, which is going to save us a lot of work for certain items. We can now have a Hellcat, which we already do, and we have more access to the Colin Romancer's chest. So all in all, a pretty good reward. Only 6 more to go. For now we don't have any possibilities, or we don't have the chunks to unlock any more of these subquests. So maybe if we complete our task on the spreadsheet and pick a new chunk, that might change things. And another one of the Recipe for Disaster subquests, freeing Evil Dave, has been completed. That was our 57th quest for 175 landmass chunks unlocked now. And then back to the map we go. With the unlock of the Sears Village quest, we now have the options to either go to the Sinclair Mansion, which would actually be a great unlock, and otherwise we have the MacGruber's Woods, which would be a little less interesting. But anyway, let's see what we actually get. Pick a chunk. Oh god. More wilderness. Going up here, over there, not even unlocking anything from the other sides. Okay. There's the entrance to the Lava Dragon Isle. That's something. But we're not going to go here anytime soon, so yeah, let's just continue. As we hit the end of the Recipe for Disaster subquests we can do, let's see what we can now get. So if we buy food, we can now get everything in trees. If we then go to buy items, now we also have the bronze and the iron gloves. So these are going to be the gloves we are going to buy. They are 325 coins, okay. Not much at all. And then I brought out all the gloves we are currently using. Let's maybe remove the graceful ones. So for the red spiky vambraces, we would have less attack bonus with these iron gloves, some more range defense, and a lot of more attack bonuses, but it's only the range that would matter. So for range this isn't an upgrade. Then if we have the Slayer gloves we are using for melee, there we see that we have 3 melee strength, so that is quite significant. And also the attack bonuses are all better. So this is a straight upgrade for those gloves. So for melee it is a decent upgrade. And then for magic, we have 1 less attack bonus and defense bonus. So actually the gloves, the mystic gloves, will actually be better still. So it's pretty much an upgrade for the Slayer gloves we have here. So all in all, a pretty good item. That's going to be all for this episode. We were finally able to start the Recipe for Disaster quest after brewing the Greenman's Ale in Port Phasmatis, and we also got a bit lucky to get the Sears pub unlocked just before we were going to need a ton of stews. We've done all the subquests we are currently capable of doing, so next episode we will continue with something else. As always, thanks for watching and see you next week for some more Chunkman progress.